Next question, starting with Councilman Nelson. What are your views on the development of West Coyote Hills? Do you believe that the current plan presents a good balance between residential uses and open spaces? Why or why not?
I'm not sure what the current plan is, but as I understand the current plan, I've yet to see a plan that I feel I could support. I think basically, if you look at the real estate from Cal State Fullerton all the way over to Beach Boulevard, if you follow the ridge line of our city, I don't think it's unreasonable to expect that the highest points in the city, both of which happen to be on that property, I know some think it's over by the Summit House, that both are on Coyote Hills West, I believe it's not unreasonable to ask that that portion of our city looks like the other highest points in the city. What do the highest points in our city look like? They tend to be very rural in character, half-acre or more lots, no street lights, no curb and gutter. And if you go to, for example, 833 Clarion, where my wife's parents built their home, they bought the lot from Tom Key Realty back in '73, he graded his own lot, one lot. You didn't see a mass grading of 800 lots at a time to put the little blue fuzzy certified pads together. If there were going to be development, and a different issue would be how do you save it, but if there were going to be development, I have not seen a plan that I would support. If there was going to be development, I would support a plan that would be much more rural in character, one lot at a time, no street light, extraordinarily large parcels, and very respectful of the open space that's there, like I think has been done already in areas in Fullerton. There's an issue with regard to marketplace. I've heard from Chevron that the market won't support that type of price for homes, and I can only tell you, I'm blessed to have the friends I have, and two of my lifelong friends have moved out of Fullerton in the last 2 years, one to Ladera Ranch, one to Yorba Linda, to buy 5-bedroom or larger houses for a price tag that is very large and out of my range. But I find it very hard to believe I happen to have the only 2 friends that left Fullerton because I couldn't find a home in that category that was in the new variety. So those are my thoughts.
Thank you very much, Councilman. Mayor Quirk.
What has not changed for me in 4 years is that I still believe that there is a way we can save Coyote Hills. I still believe there is a way that we can put together a funding package that would give Chevron the resources they need and give us the open space that many of the people in Fullerton desire. I have, as a council member, traveled to Washington, D.C. with Council Member Nelson to actually work to speak to some of the legislators there. I've spoken to all of our local officials and people who represent us in California. There are funds out there, but it definitely is who gets the funds first, how do we put that together. But I do believe that there is still the possibility that that can happen. As far as the current plan, I'm not opposed to the current plan if there's 3 votes and we have to look at actually developing that. But my first priority would be to continue to look towards saving Coyote Hills.
Thank you very much. Councilman Jones.
How much longer are we going to save it? The last people that walked in there were the Native Americans. Now, that's 500 acres that we keep saying that we would like to have. 75 acres are already part of the city, been given to us, and we can't get to it. We need to work something out. Now, I don't know, with this state with a $15.5 billion deficit, I don't think they're going to kick in any money for it. And I don't believe that the federal government, with the trillions of deficit they have, they're going to do it. So are we going to have our great-grandchildren still talking about this? What could be done with that? It's private land. They have a right to do something. Now, I don't want 760 houses there. No way. I would like to see some very expensive estate houses. I mean, there's a great deal of wealth in Orange County. People like that are looking for big, expensive homes. That's a good place where we could put some. They pay good taxes. They don't cause trouble. They don't take up a lot of space. And then we would get the 300 acres added to the 75, and we could, and in fact, in perpetuity, Chevron says that they would make that into a park. I look at it as Arboretum West, something that all of us could have and use. It'll have trails. It will have a place where a ranger will be there. I think it's something that we can use. Now, I'm not going to go crazy trying to do it, but I think it is an advantage to be able to open that up for our citizens instead of making them drive by looking at the concertina wire like it was a concentration camp. We can't just keep that thing there forever and ever and say, well, maybe one of these days we'll have it. So it's time to start working with it. Let's turn this over so our citizens have a beautiful park and have an Arboretum East and an Arboretum West.
Thank you very much, Councilman Jones. Ms. Haluza.
Thank you. The decision about Coyote Hills is a land use decision, essentially. And so I'd like to explain to you how I would consider this or any other land use decision that was brought before me as a council member. I put it through sort of a three-pronged test. First, I'd look at the vision, and that's usually expressed in a general plan. What did the city say at some point? What did the community say it wanted for itself? How did it envision itself? That's going to be my first level of analysis of any proposed project. Secondly, I'm going to look at the law. This is a legislative action that the developer is asking of the city. There's zoning on that property today. It's for gas and oil production. The developer wants a change in the zoning. They have to come to the city for that. There's a 100-plus year history of zoning laws and land use entitlement laws and the constitutionality of that here in the United States, upheld by different Supreme Courts throughout that entire 100-year history. All of those Supreme Courts have found that it is constitutional for cities to regulate land use and to establish a vision for themselves. So I want to look at the legality of any change that's coming before me and to evaluate it within that framework of our community's vision. Now, we cannot zone property to take away economic use for the private property owner. That's called a regulatory taking, and it's illegal. So we can't suddenly say, this is now a park, I'm sorry, Chevron Development, you can't use your land anymore. But that said, they do have an economic use for that property today. The third thing I'm going to look at are facts. I'm going to base any decision I make on facts versus emotion and rhetoric. If the facts are there to support a project such as housing, do we need million-dollar estates? Is that something that shows up in our housing element? Is that a housing need that our community has? Is it something that's mandated by the state? What are the environmental impacts? Are we going to lose habitat? Are there going to be traffic impacts? That's all facts. Those are discoverable.
Thank
That'll
you very
also be
much,
part of my
Ms.
decision.
Haluza. Ms. Hahn.
Yes, I decline the answer. I don't have much answer for that.
Thank you very much.